Welcome to another polYMATHY podcast, and I'm here again with Nubes, and we are talking about their next graphic novel in Latin. It may not only be in Latin, we will talk about that, and that's FORTUNA CAESARIS, written by Sonia Morganti. Oh, and one second. I hear the problem is. I hear that my own voice coming out. These are the wonderful vicissitudes of YouTube, because I had this video open on my phone. How startling to hear my own voice. But that's not the only startling thing to talk about. The most startling and amazing thing are, in fact, some of the things we will see today in this incredible comic book, which a comic book in English has even a kind of a low-brow sense to it. I think graphic novel is appropriate, especially since Sonia Morganti, who's with us today, is an accomplished novelist as well, and we'll be talking about that today. And of course, we have Ilaria Matta, who is the artist. And as I was telling Ilaria before we began, my father was an artist, so I have the highest respect and admiration for artwork in all forms, especially something like this, and anything, of course, that is a vehicle for the Latin language, ancient languages in general, is incredible. So what is so wonderful about these projects that Nubes is doing in Latin, in particular, is giving such vivid visual life through image to this part of history and this incredible language. And of course, not joining us today, but we will have a Latin video as well, where we interview Marina as well. Marina Garanin, whom you may know out there, good friend and colleague who has, of course, the channel Musa Pedestris. She's a very accomplished Latin author and poet, and does so many original works, and of course knows how to translate into Latin. That's as well. So we'll be learning more about that. So anyways, Francesco, so you of course have been heading up this Nubes. Ciao. Have been having this Nubes project for so long. Could you tell us a little bit about the genesis of FORTUNA CAESARIS and what it's about?
You had to talk about the genesis of
me?
Yeah, in fact, because Sonia, of course, is the author.
Book, so
Okay, I'll tell you. FORTUNA CAESARIS is an adaptation of my first novel, but it started as an adaptation, and then I think in the first third of the story took a different direction and became totally different. And this really amazed me, because it means that a story can be alive in many different ways. Just enough is to give a part of your life, and then a story, a book, a graphic novel, whatever, start living its own life. It's an historical fiction graphic novel, and that means I think historical fiction is a very powerful way to tell history. It implies a couple of things. The first one is that if something is written, proven, said, or even found by archaeologists, you must stick to reality. As you can see here, we are in the Villa of Papyrus in Herculaneum. And but there is a gray zone where we lack of certainties. And in this gray zone, you can use creativity to guess movements, choices of characters, motivation behind. You can use creativity, but in a certain way, in a logical way, because I think I'm about to tell something that you really like. To write historical fiction, you must be half Vulcan, half Betazoid. You must be very,
how I appreciate the Star Trek references.
you must study a lot. At the beginning, you must study a lot until you start quite smelling the spirit of time. And then study more, and study again, and again. At a certain point, stop. Leave the breaks and start writing the story, imagining the story, but in a coherent way with what you studied. And it is a powerful way to tell history, because the reader is the flow of narration catches the reader, and with the emotions, the amazement and whatever, it also brings to him a lot of information, and he gets them just enjoying the story. So it's fantastic, because just reading, just enjoying a story, no one is teaching to you. You are living something. And I love it. I love it as a reader. I love it as a writer when I can. And I found the experience to share this creativity process with an artist as Ilaria really incredible. And I'm very proud of the result we're about to accomplish.
And rightly so, rightly so. And by the way, I wanted to say right away that this, like other projects by Nubes, is funded by people like you, as we use in our parlance. And that is to say, they have a Kickstarter going. The link is in the description. And because when you see like comic books that are the typical ones you see that are obviously done by professionals as well, usually they have hundreds, maybe thousands of people in the logistical process. But really, the people who make these books possible are already here in front of you. That is to say that they are doing something incredible and unique, and they are. And they really do need all of us. That's why I also, of course, am supporting the Kickstarter very happily, very proudly. I look
Thank
forward
you
to
very
getting
much.
my copy, because I have my others here. Naturally, and here we go. The most recent one, Janus, of course, and Daimones, and Origines Pictae. So I'm incredibly proud to have the works of Nubes, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, no, and
You
really,
are number one collector. Thank you.
oh,
Thank you very much.
well, I hope to be so, and how incredible it, because to have these available, really something that's, because I've been, I'd say my mission, and we were, Sonia and Francesco, we were talking about this a few days ago together. That I feel like what I feel is important to me, and is to see more people learning Latin and ancient Greek. And I certainly want to help people do that in my own way. But what you're doing is so incredible. Like, look at this, the sumptuous beauty of the artwork here done by Ilaria, and the Latin of the highest quality. I mean, there's who's better? Not only do you have the incredible fluency of Marina Garadin, who's one of the most fluent speakers of Latin alive today, but also one of the most accomplished authors in her own right. She knows the language. She knows how to make it good, how to make it sound vivid, classical. That what could be better? And then Sonia, to have placed this right in one of my favorite spots, in Ercolano.
Mine too.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Where did it go? Hold on. Yeah. I mean, as soon as page 1 has Greek on it, you got me at Greek. I mean, I've been going through a Hellenistic phase myself, and I've been really getting into enjoying Greek. So as soon as I stomenos, the whole Caesar, I was like, oh, this is great.
If you want to scroll down,
oh, I know, sir. I'm going there.
There is a small Easter egg.
Yeah,
Oh.
we were talking about.
Okay.
I saw it. As soon as I started reading it aloud, because when I see Greek, I just can't help but read it aloud. I was etape de kai Platon and toi boy. Wait a minute, in the garden. I know exactly what this is, because there's a video I did here on the channel on polýMATHY where I talked about the finding of a recently deciphered Herculaneum scroll. Herculano is, we call it Herculaneum in English, of course, and the Herculaneum, and it's Philodemus, Pilodemi est, and it says pulcre converi dixerim. Is this Caesar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Caesar, a young Caesar.
With more hair, yeah, but later, the more he makes Ilaria angry, the more
beautiful it gets.
No, yeah, of course, the more bold it became. So
that's funny. Well, I love the oh, that's cool too. What a nice angle. Ilaria, I'd like to ask you, just seeing this right now, seeing this like this angle, which looks so cinematographic.
yeah.
It looks like something one might see in a well-directed film. Did you choose this angle?
Rispondo in italiano?
Oh, sì, certo. Yeah, and anyone here, since you're all Italian, you absolutely may speak in Italian, and I'm happy to translate.
Allora, dunque, è stata scelta grazie a comunque una guida di Sonia che voleva per questa vignetta una sorta di privacy per i due protagonisti. Infatti recitava: loro parlano, ma a noi non interessa cosa stanno dicendo. Quindi li ho fatti lontani, diciamo, loro li ho voluto farli lontani, come se nascosto diciamo, colui che guarda cerca di sentire ma non ci riesce, e quindi l'ho nascosto dove? Dietro tutti i papiri, sotto il tavolo, come un topolino che guarda nascosto.
That's a lovely image. Yeah, just like a mouse that's spying in on the two characters speaking, and it's as if we can't hear them. And you said how the notion, the idea of this was in Sonia's treatment that she gave you, and then you came up with a nice way to represent that. Beautiful, with the light, with the candle in between the two characters, and the light hitting the shiny wood of the table, the edges of the papyri. Tremendous.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So I'm also, boy, look at that. I mean, just when I see all these books, like, I want to read all of them now because they didn't survive.
Maybe they're down there.
They're down there.
Versions are amazing because they are a lot of, I don't know, a sort of, how can I say, how much is beautiful reading, how much is beautiful literature, poetry. I think there is a part, and it's a part of the story of this narration, how important is for one who loves doing it, of course, but how can important reading, how can be beautiful, how can be an intense experience, how it can give to us a sort of filter to watch, and a sort of dictionary to decipher the reality and to face it. It's something that happened to the characters, but I think it's something also universal. And in the last panel, the one where the two characters are talking about the papyrus, so about the text, about what they are reading, they are really interested in talking about the last texts they collected, and it's a sort of bubble, and you are inside this bubble. Just think about what you are reading and how do you like it, and how it is interesting and why, and how it was difficult to collect a text, because at that time it was really difficult because you had to write, to copy, and it's a part of a story, I think, very important at the beginning, but also in the middle, because there are three characters that I think they had never been in a comic book. Lucretius, Catullus, and also Philodemus, just a guest star, just for a couple of panels, but there is an Easter egg, because talking with Lucretius about literature and life, he says, I'm very lucky because I write about other things different from you, Lucretius. And he says some things that we just recently read, thanks to new technology. And I think it's something incredibly nerd and incredibly beautiful.
Oh, beautifully said. And let's give some context to this story. If I'm not mistaken, since I've read a little bit of the novel that is the original genesis of this is about Calpurnia, is it not? And her relationship with Caesar?
Yes, yes and no. This is the comic book is more how do you say un'opera corale?
Un'opera che?
Corale, where each character...
Oh, choral. Yeah, a choral
Okay,
work. Yeah, I get it. Like it's an ensemble. I think we call it an ensemble.
She's
Yeah.
a sort of pivot, but all the characters that refers to her have a large space. The novel is very different. Is I think it's more serious, a bit more depressing maybe, but historical novels are quite different in the comic, and it's wonderful because writing for the comic book, and also looking at Ilaria's art, something changed in my mind also about the screenwriting, and I had the chance to show the life in a more realistic way, because life can be really dramatic, yeah, but it also can be touching, can be happy. There is no moment where you are laughing without crying, or a moment where you are in the happy moments when you are laughing a lot. Sometimes you also cry, there are also tears, and vice versa. In the saddest moment, people in the reality find a reason to smile all the same, to help each other, and with the kindness of the touch of Ilaria, I had the chance, I think, to make a more complete story where everyone can show the drama, but also the strength to smile, the strength to be a person. And it's wonderful. I'm very grateful to Ilaria for helping me to have this more complex view on this story.
Well, that's an amazing kind of collaboration, as you have done. I mean, Nubes, you do this again and again, and I've seen it again with different authors, different translators, different artists, and yet you create. Well, I think very impressive is the very high, entirely in every regard, professional level of quality, whether it comes to the translation, the writing, or the artwork every time. But I love the variety too, that you seem to, I don't know how you pull it off every time. In fact, Ilaria, I wanted to ask you, just taking a look now, have you illustrated in the past historical scenes like this? I was noting how beautifully done these lampadae are done. They look great. Is that something you had to study? Or have you done this before?
Non l'avevo mai fatto prima. Ovviamente Estonia mi ha fornito centinaia di reference dal quale io poi ho potuto studiare ogni oggetto nel particolare, ma non soltanto, cioè, perché ovviamente mi dava della per esempio
It's lagging a
Oh,
bit.
Ilaria, your signals cut out a bit. You seem to be frozen a moment, but I understood that Sonia had given you models to study, models of these objects and images from antiquity. So yeah. Well, what I'll do, Ilaria, at the moment, if you can hear us, is I'll just remove your screen. It's frozen. The moment if you're able to log back in and come back. There you are. You're back. Hey, it looks like your signal's back.
Okay, he's
Yeah,
back.
we got interrupted for a second. Sorry.
Dicevo, lei mi dava delle foto con delle certe prospettive, poi io dovevo intuitivamente capire come posizionarle all'interno della prospettiva che io avevo scelto per la vignetta.
Yeah.
Non è una delle cose più difficili da fare. Quella vignetta della biblioteca, solo per studiare la prospettiva, 3 ore.
Wow.
Solo per studiare la prospettiva.
3 hours just to study the perspective here. That's impressive.
Solo per studiare la prospettiva, perché avevo sicuramente le foto dei decori dei muri, avevo sicuramente quel video famoso della Villa dei Papiri.
The reconstruction.
dove c'erano gli armadi, o questi, insomma, cosa sono armadi? Però io volevo una visuale dall'alto, quindi avevo gli oggetti, ma non la visuale, non avevo la prospettiva. Quindi io su Pinterest ho utilizzato 3 ore solo per trovare un'immagine nel quale inserire gli oggetti presi dalle reference date da Sonia. E non è stato per niente semplice fare questa vignetta, a parte che è anche molto grande, quindi vignette grandi significa comunque molto, tecnicamente molto più disegno. E doveva anche essere credibile.
Right. And let me translate some of that, Ilaria. So
Yes.
it took, as you were saying, it took about 3 hours just to study the perspective, to find an appropriate images into which to place these objects, and the right perspective to get the right angles and shadows, and an incredibly challenging effort. Continue.
Vado?
Sì.
Ok. E dicevo, avevo quindi tanti oggetti da inserire in una stanza vuota, vista da una prospettiva scelta da me. Quindi tutto molto intuitivo alle volte, altre volte invece applicavo le tecniche della prospettiva prese nel mio corso di studio. Però comunque, viste le tempistiche, comunque alle volte bisogna andare anche un po' di intuito, perché se no si sta veramente a guardare il pelo nell'uovo, cioè il l'ago nel pagliaio, come si dice?
Tutte quelle cose sono perfette.
Tutte quelle, insomma, non si finisce più. Comunque ho fatto un sacco di papiri, molti.
I had a lot of papyri, yes, and they look great.
Grazie, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's tremendous. I can only imagine the effort having seen artists work at things like this. And later, like we talked before the broadcast, Ilaria, I'd like you to show the audience too a bit of your process, what you start with, and how you add the layers and things like that. Before that, Sonia, I wanted to ask, what you said that, wondering if we said this before the broadcast, but you have a long interest in these historical characters, don't you?
Yeah, yes. I think everything. My passion for the antiquity started with them.
With Calpurnia and
yeah,
Caesari.
it's embarrassing because it's the most illogical thing in my life. I was 9 years old, I think, at school, and the teacher told us all the legends about the Ides of March. I was listening. I was very young child, the kind of child that likes to stay alone and imagining his own stories. And when she told me about the Ides of March, I don't know, poof, something inside my mind changed, it switched. And in my mind, I told, I have to tell this story. And going around, growing up, of course, I read a lot, I studied a lot, I had a lot of fun. I think I became part of Nubes also, so we have a third associate, Calpurnia, but we do not have to pay her, luckily enough, otherwise we are at the end. But jokes aside, really was something really important for me, because I think drove me to a certain kind of studies. Part of me was looking for answers. I thought, why she was about to be listened by Caesar in the morning of the Ides of March, because she was about to be listened by Caesar that morning in that room. It is incredible if you think about the person that Caesar were. And okay, in the afterwards of the comic book, there is an explanation. I had few ideas, few hypotheses, and but I think if you can pass through the civil war, a civil war that is something incredibly dramatic because it's brothers against brothers, and you say above any suspicion. Is it correct? Because
Yeah, above any suspicion.
and you can still be above any suspicion in a period so dramatic, so violent, and you do not have the protection of a child because Calpurnia had no children.
Right.
And in the past, it was the main role of a woman or a wife, but in the end, she was there in the morning of the Ides March after Gallic War, Civil War between Ptolemaeus and Cleopatra, and everything that it brought. I think maybe she was strong enough to navigate this turbulent sea. And maybe she was strong enough because she grew up where she grew up, in the family that owned a wonderful villa, a sort of lost paradise dedicated to otium, so to poetry, philosophy, friendship. I think a sort of humus where you can really grow up very strong. And that's why I love books so much, maybe, I don't know, but in the end, I think this is a sort of large part of my life because I started studying when I was more or less 12 years old for this reason, but then I get passionated to the ancient world. In the secondary school, I had so much fun studying Latin and Greek and story and literature. I think the best 5 years of my student life. And I kept this passion all along the years. So studying different subjects, I studied law, and working in totally different field because now I'm working in logistics, so nothing totally different. But it's okay. It's still part of my life, and I'm very happy because, they say that you can pass genes to your children, but you can pass your ideas, part of you, to the person, to the people that read about you. So maybe they are a sort of my soul family.
Right. Oh, yeah. And I wanted to. I've only started to read your novel, which was the original genesis of this, which I'll show you. This is if anybody is Italian or reads Italian and is interested in this novel, which I've already fallen in love with, but I can't wait to finish it. L'ombra perfetta, storia di Calpurnia, moglie di Cesare, and I just want this one passage in particular. I really liked because it's actually demonstrative of a lot of your writing style, I think, and what I like a lot about it. Il giardino era piegato sotto pesanti gocce di pioggia, il cui scroscio annullava quello lieve della fontana. I lamenti di quella piccola oasi erano sconvolti dall'improvviso cambio di stagione, ricordavano ai viventi la fragilità del tutto. And I'd actually have not very well read in Italian literature, but what it reminds me a bit of Charles Dickens, is famous for having created very vivid descriptions of the environment, which also have a lot of subjective emotion, so you can in fact empathize with the environment. In this passage where the garden is weighed down by the weight of the rain itself, and so seeing that in your mind, reading it, is, I think, tremendously vivid. So I mean, as an author, I'm sure you loved getting to see another representation of the story, a visual representation in this graphic novel.
Thank you.
Francesco, are there any particular images, or actually, Sonia, you had some images you wanted to share with us, didn't you?
Yeah, I want to show something that is about how Ilaria is good at... Oh, where are you? Sorry. Okay, just a second. Yeah, because they're ready. Okay, a couple of images. This one, I don't know if okay. I think
How
this is
how beautiful.
yeah. We want to show 1 year of time without telling, and 1 year is passing by, because one of the rules of comic books is show don't tell. How to do it?
Like cinema.
Yeah, like cinema. And how to do it? Well, showing the passing of time with the palette of colors, with the nature, animals, flowers, all the you are in the garden in the same environment, and the same two people are talking. The the state of one of them is changing, but also the environment, the seasons are changing. And so I found it wonderful, because just with the colors and with some details, we are telling you, hey, 1 year has passed, so gone. And due to the fact that this is also a story of time passing by, things changing, because there are two parallel life. The life of the one that go on war, go on Senate, go outside, and they can count the time doing things. And in parallel, there is the life of the ones that stay inside, that have to wait, to hold on, and to be patient and strong. So how do you show the passing time without telling, with the changing of colors of environment, of hair, more white hair, more wrinkles, and so on? And Ilaria was incredibly good in doing these slightly changes when it's needed.
Oh yeah, and I just now read the text. This is this is my first time seeing this particular page, and it made me laugh because I knew exactly what was going on. Actually, I didn't recognize. I should have recognized Catullus, because this looks very much like the bust in oh, where is it? It's in oh, what is that town? Where
In Sirmione.
Thank you, Sirmione.
Sirmione.
And but it does look like him. And he says, in the spring, it looks like the spring, right? Amo Claudiam, or maybe it's the summer, I'm not sure. Amo Claudiam, odi Claudiam, because Claudia was the real name of the pseudonym that he calls Lesbia in his poetry. I was actually just teaching a student today about this, so this is fantastic. I love Claudia. I hate Claudia.
And we also have a passer, but I think it's just a case, but is here at the fourth.
Yeah. Wait, let me read the next cell. Eam plus qua maui. I more than loved her. Bene volui. Atque pater natos generosoque dilexi. So I totally loved her in every way. Si tu hoc anni tempore, this time of year, iterat Caesarem, per non nullos dies facies, if you make the journey to Caesar through a few days, ego profigiscar ad fratris inferias, et illic usquia daestaten manio. No. Yeah. And so this is like right from his poetry, which is fantastic.
Yeah, there are a lot of Easter eggs of this kind.
Yeah.
I can show you another kind of Easter egg that you can find. Let me check. Francesco, help me, because I'm a total Sumaro, total dummy. No, there is here still. Ok, presenta. Vai sullo schermo.
And in Christian, you asked in the chat, how long is the novel? If you mean this one, it's 374 pages. If you mean the graphic novel, I'm not sure how many pages it is.
The graphic novel about 80 pages.
80 pages.
As we usually.
So comparable to these, which you see here.
More or less the same, yeah.
Yeah, to give people an idea of what these.
If I can, there was another comment by Squeezy. Said that the UK seems to be excluded from this. Otherwise, I'd back it. There is the digital version, and it's a problem. We know we can't right now ship to United Kingdom due to
the digital version cannot be.
No, the digital version
Yeah.
can
Universal.
be purchased all over the world. And
Okay.
but the physical version we can't ship to United Kingdom due to post-Brexit regulation.
Oh
We
my
are
gosh, that's
trying
terrible.
to look for a solution, but right now there seems not to be.
Oh, and another great question
Yeah.
from Nono Master Game. So I was reading that like Italian for a second. Nono Master Game. The question is, how many languages is it written in? And I have seen here the Latin version. Is there also an Italian version?
Yeah, there is a Latin, Italian, and English.
Great, just like the others. That's fantastic.
Yeah, but I think this will be our standard for the next novels because it helps to.
But the best languages, the one that the English speakers already know, which is useful for us, or the one that people have to learn in school, being of course English, and the Latin language that we love so much, and one of the most beautiful of all the modern languages being Italian. So that's a perfect trio for me. Actually, I was just thinking about how nice it is, and those of you who watch the channel probably feel this way, how nice it is to know well a language that you study or learn for a long time. Now, those of us out there, you've studied Latin and you know how great it is to appreciate something like Latin. And I was just reflecting about how nice it is to know Italian. So I could read Sonia's novel, and I also was thinking about this is something that I get from my wonderful fiance, which is that we don't have a lot of these in the U.S. you can find easily or cheaply, which are bilingual translations of classics. This is his Plutarch. And what a wonderful gift it is to know Italian, that you can, at least I can access, a high quality translation of the target language I'm, interested in studying. So anyway, that's not really having to do with anything except that it's fun to know languages well, and it's a worthwhile endeavor. And Nubes makes that possible. So that's also true if you're trying to learn Italian, right? So if a non-Italian speaker might like to have the Italian version of this new graphic novel. Ilaria, I'd like to ask you, could you show us, you're working there at the moment, I see. I'd like to see a little bit of the process of how you actually design these. How do you start, and how do you do the layers, and we would love to see it.
Dunque, questa è in anteprima perché ancora non è stata consegnata, ma si può far vedere?
Sì.
Yeah, and I made it so we should be able to see your the
Allora, tra l'altro,
iPad.
questa è una di quelle che mi piacciono di più, perché c'è esattamente una scena di Calpurnia che dice esattamente una frase che per me ha preso personalmente, sia nel momento in cui ho fatto lo sketch, sia nel momento in cui ho fatto gli inchiostri.
And who says the quote? Chi è che lo dice? Si faccio vedere. Calpurnia, ok.
Esattamente in questo punto qua. Non si vede.
It'll adapt, yeah, it's okay. Si adatta. Sì, si vede. Abbastanza.
Si vede molto sfocato.
It's okay. Well, yeah, we get the idea.
Ok.
Si vede meglio.
Okay. Mi era piaciuta così tanto che l'avevo colorata subito.
Sì, it's true.
Ti ricordi? E oggi la sto ricolorando.
Yeah, you liked it so much that you wanted to color it in right away.
Oddio.
Stavo traducendo. Ci
Okay.
sei?
Sì.
Sì.
Adesso vedo solo me stessa, non vi vedo più.
Yeah, esatto. Yeah, here I made it just so we could see your screen more easily. I made it so see the iPad when you hold up the iPad, so we could see it more easily.
Dunque, invece, per quanto riguarda il processo, andiamo subito a togliere tutti i colori. Dunque, io parto da Vabbè, chiaramente dalla tavola in bianco e nero, inchiostrata.
Yeah, starting with black and white and just the lines.
Ok. Dopodiché faccio solo ed esclusivamente i colori piatti.
So the flat colors next. So you have a layer of flat colors.
Ok.
All right.
Senza ombre, senza luci. Dopodiché vado direttamente a fare, cioè tolgo tutto il colore, quindi torno così e faccio solo ed esclusivamente le ombre.
So so after you've done the flat colors, you turn off the colored layer and then you make a new layer just to make the shadows. And then on top of that, you'll of course put the colors back, right?
Esatto.
Wow, that's cool.
Dopodiché accendo di nuovo i colori
Okay.
e mi rendo conto di come funzionano con le ombre.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
E vabbè, qua avevo già iniziato le luci. Ok, qua ancora non ci sono, però cerco di fare diciamo un zoom. Così. Non so se si capisce. Qua non ci sono le luci. Qua le accendiamo.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And you do that with another layer?
Yes.
Wow, yeah, the lighting with a different layer. That's tremendous. Thank you for showing us that. That's cool. Yeah, I have no knowledge of these things other than pencil drawings on paper. I have no skill, so I'm amazed to see what artists can do, especially with the aid of a little bit of technology like that. That's cool. I imagine too that traditional paper artists have done a lot of that too, with multiple layers, with coloring and shading.
Nel tradizionale è tutta un'altra storia.
Oh, is that very different? Have you done traditional as well with paper, or mostly digitally?
Molto tempo fa.
A long time ago. Yeah.
Ho iniziato facendo ritratti colorati coi pastelli. La luce non si potevano mettere i layers.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So
l'unico layer.
Yeah. You're saying how you've done portraits and using I think you said pastel and other things like that. Yeah, that is a very different experience. Well, tremendous. Well, is there anything else we should add to I mean, obviously I am a big fan of Nubes, and everybody knows that. So I love having you guys on and talking about the incredible books that you're making, that are, and these are, like I tell people, like we said it today, like what I want is for more people to learn Latin. And this is a tremendously effective and enjoyable way to do that. The more one reads, the better. Like, I think even if you're an absolute beginner, you want to get started with Latin, there's nothing wrong with getting, especially this particular story, being Fortuna Caesaris, that you will understand so much from just the pictures, and hopefully it will excite you. Having that excitement and drive is almost just as important as how much progress you actually make in learning the language, because some people like studying grammar translation books. That's great if they do, but for most people it's usually a chore. So having something that really compels you, that excites you to want to learn the language more, even if you open it. I remember having that with some of my early books with Latin and even readers and things like, someday I'm going to be able to read this and understand it. It was, I think, the Cicero Catalan oration or something like that. And then after a few months, I actually could, after a lot of study. But having that as a kind of a goal right in front of you, I think is effective. So I say never stop yourself from getting to that more difficult reading level, in the sense that keep it nearby, check in periodically, like if it's something really difficult like the Iliad, which is, of course, Greek, keep it nearby, keep looking back at it, and eventually you'll realize that you're understanding a lot. So that's how I feel about it.
And meanwhile, There were some comments.
Oh, thank you, Francesco. What did
Yeah,
website.
about the website, about the great book website, Amazon, but they can say the name because the message had cancelled. And yes, the novel L'ombra perfetta, the perfect shadow, is on Amazon, and
Okay.
is on Amazon too. Agave, the second tragedy by Stefano Vittori. All the other books, the comic books, here it is, Agave. Agave and L'ombra perfetta are on Amazon. The comic books are on our website, www.nubes.live.
Oh, good. I'll put the Amazon links in the description for these two later.
Thank you. The L'ombra perfetta is only Italian. Origine Spictae is only Latin. All the other books are Latin, English, and Italian. That's all.
Oh, Sonia, you'll have to translate your own novel into Latin someday.
Excuse me?
Sonia, you'll have to translate your own novel into Latin someday.
Yeah.
No, it's so difficult, but because consider that my brother, he lives in Spain, and when he tried to translate something written by me in Spanish, he's Italian, he's my brother, he says, how is difficult your Italian? I cannot translate it into Spanish. I don't know why. It's difficult because I think my Italian is quite difficult to be translated.
If anyone can find a way, you can, with as an author and the tenacity that authors have. Yeah, once you're reading Apuleius, talk about he's notoriously difficult because he has a lot of rich vocabulary and description.
Yes, it's beautiful.
I think if you're reading that and enjoying it, if you're at that level, I think you'll be ready to start giving it a shot. That might not be today, but someday.
The worst about vocabulary is Petronius. You find strange words. You search in the vocabulary, and there is no such word.
Yeah, because they're words that in Petronius, a lot of those words are spoken by native Greek speakers who are Romanized.
People, yeah.
So a lot of them are Greek-ish, but they're like the common Greek of southern Italy, and it's. Petronius is a mess. If I have to choose between him and Apuleius, I choose Apuleius every time. Petronius is great. I mean, it's like, I'm not like I could write that well.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
Apuleius is.
And I think it's the important thing.
Sure.
If you find fun, enjoyment, reading, everything is smoother.
Yeah. Well, that's the love of reading, and with great artwork, as Nubes always provides, here done by Ilaria, and with a fantastic story and a beautiful translation by Marina Garanin. The team, yet again, is providing a wonderful success and another work of art for us to enjoy. So thank you so much for being here, my friends, and thank you all of you out there for watching, and hope you support their Kickstarter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.